And maybe the best way to bring this to close is to return to you and I in Adre. And I think what it's worth putting on the record is that Chad is one of the poorest nations on the planet. I think in the top 5 lowest income per capita nations on the planet. And yet you and I found in with the governor of Abrecha, if I'm pronouncing that right, and the prefect in Adre, and the people of that community, this extraordinary wealth of spirit. You could see they were mobilizing their communities to welcome strangers into their community and deplete their minimal resources in efforts to try to meet the enormity of the pain and the agony. And so in this poor community, they demonstrated extraordinary wealth. And I believe that the poverty that has sustained this crisis is not with the people in Chad or the actual people of Sudan who have terrible material poverty, but it's the poverty with the rest of the world and the wealthy nations of the world. When we saw this crisis begin 6 months before Gaza and Israel's horrific October 7th beginning, there was still no action. And so the real poverty is a poverty of action. What we saw there, having aid workers, I'll never forget the French woman with tears in her eyes begging me that they had already cut rations. The poverty that's suffering, that the folks there are suffering, is a poverty of generosity. When you see press story after press story, headline after headline about so many other areas in the world, but a lacking of it for this crisis, given its degree, its enormity, the millions and millions of lives affected, you see a poverty of attention. And when you understand that we all have equal dignity, and we all have equal humanity, that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers, that the human family is intricately interwoven and intertwined. Ultimately, what we're dealing with here now in the global context for the people of Sudan is a poverty of empathy. And the pathway for our own redemption in this globally horrific crisis that has suffered our poverty of love, the only pathway for repentance that I can see is what you said. Yes, we need to end this fighting, but the crisis will not be over. We still saw the scars in Chad of the 2005 Darfur crisis, that they were still struggling with that a generation later. That the pathway for redemption has to be in sustaining the attention, the empathy, the focus on this crisis, even after the conflict has stopped. Because that is what's going to be needed to somehow heal from what has been, in my lifetime, one of the greatest humanitarian crises ever to come to fore. I thank you, my brother, for your heroic leadership. There are so many good people doing good things, showing a richness of spirit. But God bless us in the world of wealthy nations, and forgive us for our sin of poverty, that poverty of love.